Actually, I have a text in front of me, but I am making some changes on it because I would like to firstly say that I'm not a scientist and I'm not an expert on Sufism. I'm a diplomat as profession, but here I would like to share my remarks as a human being, as one of your sisters. In this concept, as a human being who try to reflect, who try to implement, who try to follow the teachings of Mevlana, Rumi, and aďrat Sultan Bahoo in her own life. Though they lived centuries apart and in different lands, Rumi in the heart of the Selçuk Empire, and Bahoo in the rich spiritual soil of the subcontinent, their message was profoundly the same. They were preachers not of ritual or division, but of human friendship, of love that transcends all boundaries, of peace rooted in the love of the divine, and of harmony between all of God's creation. As we speak of their message today, it's impossible to ignore the world we live in, a world where this message is desperately needed. Right now, in Gaza, innocent people, including women and children, are being bombed and buried beneath rubble, victims not of any crime they committed, but of the silence of those who should speak and the inaction of those who hold power. In Cyprus as well, despite the continued goodwill of the Turkish Cypriots, a just and fair solution remains elusive after decades of negotiations. And my country continues to face inhumane embargoes and isolations, and therefore we continue our struggle for our inherent rights, our sovereign equality, and equal international status of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Across the world, from Gaza to Kashmir, from refugee camps to mass killings, we are surrounded by pain of unresolved conflicts, of injustice, of people stripped of dignity. And yet, the words of Rumi and Sultan Bahoo call out to us louder than ever. Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." And today, humanity is wounded. Gaza is wounded. Kashmir is wounded. And we, as a global community, are wounded by our inability to live in peace with one another. But it is in these wounds that the light of these saints can enter, if we let it in. Mevlana Rumi was not merely a poet. He was a revolution of the soul. His verses called out to all people, Muslim, Christian, Jew, believer, and non-believer, with a message that echoed the Quranic spirit of unity. Come, come, whoever you are, he wrote. Wanderer, worshipper, lover of living, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. In his verse, there were no borders. There was only love, a love that healed, that forgave, that connected. Likewise, aďrat Sultan Bahoo's message burned with the same divine fire. He opened the doors of spiritual realization to all, regardless of social class, status, or education. He thought that the love of God was the only truth worth seeking, and he made clear that love without action, without compassion for others, was hollow. If God could be found by rituals and bloodlines, he wrote, even butchers would find him through laughter. But God is found through the spiritual sword that slays the ego. That is the message we must carry forward today, that God is not found in hatred, not in walls or weapons, but in humility, in service, and in love that breaks down the ego, not others. Neither Rumi nor Bahoo were escapists. They were not monks hiding in the caves, but spiritual warriors who challenged their societies to be more just, more compassionate, more connected. They understood that true peace cannot be imposed by force. It must rise from within. Rumi once said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." That change, the transformation of the self, is where peace begins, and from there it ripples outward. Now we live in an age that prides itself on progress, on scientific achievement, exploration, and innovation. And rightly so. Science has expanded our knowledge and transformed our lives. But as Rumi and Bahoo remind us, knowledge must be paired with wisdom. Science can tell us how the heart beats, but not why it breaks. It can map the stars, but cannot explain the longing we feel when we look up at them. That is where Sufism begins, not in contradiction to science, but as its spiritual companion. It seeks not to replace reason, but to deepen it with purpose. It explores the inner universe just as science explores the outer. Today, in our modern world, we often find ourselves surrounded by noise, division, and ego at every level, from individuals to nations. But Rumi and Bahoo call us to something higher. They call us to unity, not the shallow unity of slogans, but the deep unity of the soul that sees no race, no sect, no border, only fellow human beings created by the same creator. They remind us that spirituality is not meant to divide us into tribes, but to unite us in our shared humanity. That the goal of religion is not to dominate, but to liberate the human spirit from fear, hatred, and arrogance. This is why their message is so powerful today, because while politicians talk about peace, they often do little to achieve it. While the powerful draft resolutions, it is often the weak who suffer. Rumi and Bahoo remind us that the responsibility of peace, love, and harmony does not belong to governments alone. It belongs to each one of us. It belongs to our homes, our communities, our daily actions. When we remain silent in the face of injustice, we betray the message of these saints. When we dehumanize others, whether in Palestine or in Cyprus, whether in our neighborhoods or online, we close our hearts to the light they brought. But when we choose love over hate, we become the torchbearers of their legacy. So let us not leave their words trapped in books or carved into shrines. Let us embody their message. Let us be voices of compassion in times of cruelty. Let us be the peacemakers when the world is ready for war. Let us be the bridge builders in a world of walls. Because the world needs more Rumi hearts, more Bahoo souls. It needs people who recognize the divine light in every human being. May we be those people.